All right, everyone, so we're back with some more 5-card action. This time we're playing at the Hollywood Hard Rock, and within the first orbit, I get dealt the Ace-Ace 874 double suited in the cutoff. Now, the player to my left has the $10 rock. I played a couple sessions with her earlier in the week at the Big Easy, and I know she's pretty aggressive. So when there are 3 limpers to me, I decide to limp as well, as I figure there's going to be a very high likelihood that she's going to go ahead and pop it. And so I limp, and she does just that, makes it 75. There are 3 callers, and at this point, obviously, according to the plan, I'm just going to go ahead and pot it. I make it 470, and I think I'm going to get maybe 1 or 2 callers, but instead we get 4 callers, so we're going 5 ways to a flop. The flop comes down Queen Jack 6 Rainbow. Early position shoves. There are 2 callers to me. I, of course, call it off as well, and the button calls as well, so we're still going 5 ways to a turn. The turn brings a 7 of diamonds. Action checks through. River brings a King of Hearts, and action checks through once again. The big blind, who is all in as well, turns over the Queen 10 9 6 3 for the rivered straight, and that's going to be good enough to scoop. The very next hand, I look down at the Ace King Jack 7 Deuce, single suited in the hijack. Now, their bomb pots are a little different, as it's 1 flop, 2 turns, and 2 rivers. We end up going 8 ways to a flop of King Queen 10 with 2 clubs. When action checks to me, I bet 125, and there's 1 caller, so we're going heads up to a couple turns. The turns bring a 3 of spades on the top and 4 of clubs on the bottom. My opponent once again checks to me. This time I bet 325, and unfortunately my opponent folds, so we don't get any more value, but it's always nice winning the first hand after you get stacked. 30 minutes after the previous hand, now about an hour into the session, I get moved to the main game. We're playing another bomb pot. When I look down at the Ace-Ace Queen 10 Deuce, single suit in middle position, we go to a flop of Ace King 10 Rainbow. The small blind bets 50, the big blind calls, and I make the call as well, so we're going 3 ways to a couple turns. The turns bring a 10 of clubs on the top and 4 of spades on the bottom. Action checks to me, I bet 160, and only the big blind makes the call, so we're going heads up to a couple rivers. The rivers bring a Queen of Hearts on the top and Jack of Diamonds on the bottom. He bets enough to put me all in. I, of course, make the call. He ends up turning over the Ace Queen Jack 4 Deuce, and we're going to chop it up here. Shortly after the previous hand, I look down at the Ace-Ace Jack 9 6 single suited under the gun. When it folds to me, I make it 30, and there are 4 callers, so we're going 5 ways to a flop. The flop comes down Ace 6 Deuce with 2 spades. When action checks to me, I bet 155, and there are 2 callers, so we're going 3 ways to a turn. With an under 1-to-1 SPR, we're hoping for a clean turn to be able to shove, but we do not get it with the 3 of spades, and the small blind leads for 500, folds to me, and I fold as well, so he's going to take this one down.
What's up, guys? Wayne back here with you. So just making a quick announcement that Josh and I have started a brand new podcast and channel here on YouTube called Suck It Up Man. And this is going to be focused on men's health, mental wellness, dating, and really everything in between. We just want to have open conversations about these issues that us guys are dealing with and how to best move forward. So we're going to be doing a live call-in show that will be every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube, Spotify, all the major platforms. So I'll put links in the description below. Hope to see you guys over there. And I will still, of course, be posting on this channel, but we'll definitely be putting a lot of my time and effort into the new channel, as it's also something I'm very passionate about. So again, see you guys over there, and let's get back to the rest of the video.
About 2 hours into the session, I look down at the Ace King 10 9 7, double suited in the small blind. The rock is on the button. I make it 30. The big blind then makes it 100. Over to the cutoff, who makes the call, and I also make the call. So we're going 3 ways to a flop. When the flop comes down King King 10 with 2 diamonds, I don't see any point of betting, so I check, and action checks through. So still going 3 ways to a turn. The turn brings in the 3 of diamonds, which brings in the front door flush. I check over to the big blind, who bets 100. Over to the cutoff, who makes the call. I think a bit, just Hollywooding, trying to make sure I get a call when I shove, and that's what I do. The big blind ends up folding, but the cutoff thinks a bit and makes the call. So we're going heads up to a river. The river brings the 10 of hearts, so we still have the nuts. I turn it over, and we're good. So we're officially unstuck on the session. Shortly after the previous hand, we're playing another bomb pot. When I look down at the King Queen 10 9 8 double suited on the button, we go to a flop of Jack 9 3 Rainbow. When action checks all the way to me, I bet the full pot of 200. Over to the small blind, who puts his remaining chips in the middle for about 600 total. Folds back to me, and of course I make the call. So we're going heads up to a couple runouts. The turns bring the 7 of spades on top, 8 of diamonds on the bottom. The rivers bring a 4 of diamonds on the top and 10 of clubs on the bottom. So we have nut nut. I turn it over, and of course we're good. My opponent later tells me that he flopped a set, and we get there on both boards. We go card dead for a while. This hand is over 2 hours after the previous hand and about 4 hours into the session. When I look down at the ace, ace, queen, queen, jack, single suited in the big blind, there's one limp to me. I also limp. The cutoff makes it 50. There are a couple callers, I call, and one call behind. So we're going 5 ways to a flop. The flop comes down ace, 8, deuce, rainbow. Checks to me. I check over to the original raiser who bet 75. There are 2 callers to me. I think a bit and make it 380. Over to the cutoff who shoves all in. The other players fold, and of course I make the call. So we're going heads up to a run out. The turn brings a deuce of hearts. River brings a 3 of hearts. My opponent turns over pocket eights. So we avoid the 1 outer and take down a pretty nice pot here. Shortly after the previous hand, we're playing another bomb pot. When I look down at the ace, ace, 8, 4, deuce, single suited in the small blind, we go to a flop of ace, 10, 3 with 2 spades. I bet 60 and there are 3 callers, so we're going 4 ways to a couple turns. The turns bring a 3 of clubs on the top, 6 of diamonds on the bottom. This time I bet 280 and everyone folds, so don't get any additional value, but happy to take down a pot here. I ended up racking up shortly after, came back the next day, and within the first couple orbits, I looked down at the jack, jack, 7, 3, 3, double suited in the big blind. We go 5 ways, $10 each to a flop of jack, 5, 5, rainbow. When action checks to me, I bet 20 and only the player to my left makes the call, so we're going heads up to a turn. The turn brings a 3 of clubs. This time I bet 85, and my opponent once again makes the call, so we're going heads up still to a river. The river brings a 9. My opponent only has 200 left, so that's what I bet, and my opponent doesn't waste too much time before making the call. I turn it over, and we're good. So pretty good start to the session here. I go card dead for a while. This hand is about an hour and a half after the previous one. When I look down at the ace, queen, 8, 5, 3, single suited on the button, there is one limp over to Josh who makes it 45. One call to me, and it's definitely not a great hand, but I'm on the button and I'm already in for $10, so I make the call, and there's one call behind. So we're going 4 ways to a flop. The flop comes down 6, 4, deuce, rainbow. Checks over to Josh, who c-bets for 120. There is one call over to me. I don't waste too much time before putting everything in the middle. Over to Josh, who folds, and the other player thinks a bit, but makes the call. So we're going heads up to a run out. The turn brings the 9 of clubs. River brings the 7 of clubs. I turn it over, and my opponent turns over her hand. She has the 9, 8, 6, 6, 4. So she flopped a set and fortunately didn't fill up, and we're going to get a much needed double up right here. Shortly after the previous hand, we're playing a bomb pot. When I look down at the king 9, 8, 8, 5 double suited in the big blind, we go to the flop of king 8, 6 with 2 hearts. When action checks to me, I bet 80, and there are 2 callers, so we're going 3 ways to a couple turns. The turns bring a 10 of clubs on the top and 3 of clubs on the bottom, and should still be good on the bottom board, but obviously 7, 9 gets there. So instead of betting and potentially getting raised, I check with the intention of calling any bet, but both my opponents check back. So we're still going 3 ways to a couple rivers. The rivers bring the 6 of spades on the top and queen of diamonds on the bottom. This time I bet 225 and both opponents fold, so we take this one down here. Shortly after the previous hand, I looked down at the king 9, 9, 7 deuce, single suited in the small blind. We end up going 5 ways, $10 each to a flop of king 9, 6 rainbow. I bet 35 and there's one caller, so we're going heads up to a turn. The turn brings a deuce of hearts, so it doesn't change anything here. Definitely want to charge my opponent the maximum to draw to his potential straight. So I bet 120 and he quickly makes the call, so still going heads up to a river. The river brings a 6, and I don't think I can really get value from him here. I put him most likely on some kind of busted straight draw, so I check with the intention of snap calling anything he bets. He thinks a little bit and bets the full pot. I toss in a chip for the call, and he, to my surprise, says king 6. I, of course, am good, but as I was raking in the chips, I wondered if I missed out on some value here. But an orbit later, he says a comment to me, and he says, "You just knew that if you checked, I was going to bet the full pot, huh?" And that leads me to believe that he wouldn't have called a raise, but not sure here. I don't know if you guys would have raised, but happy to take down a pot. I ended up playing another hour and a half, just kind of bled chips, and ended up racking up after that.
What's up, guys? Wayne back here with you. So between the 2 sessions, I was in for 1,800, out for 4,029, so a profit of 2,229. If you haven't seen the previous episode, I'll go ahead and link it up here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.